Greetings, Minecrafters, and welcome to another Minecraft discussion today. Remember that the whole purpose of Minecraft, the whole foundational theme, is learning to become the boss of your brain, because it's all here, whatever thoughts we allow in or what dictate our behavior, because thoughts come first, feelings come second, and then actions or behavior last. And so literally by changing our thoughts, we change our lives. Live a higher vibe of ourselves, live our best life. Okay, so I forget if I introduced myself or not. Anyway, my name is Kimberly Quinn, and it is my privilege to chat about an ACOA Part 6, I think this is, on the roles that can sort of be formed and carried out in an alcoholic or dysfunctional family. It doesn't have to have addiction necessarily. Addiction, we know, is loaded with shame and deprivation. You can also have that without the splash of substance abuse, for sure. So, first of all, you can also, I give a big shout out to Janet Wojcicki, Geringer Wojcicki, I think, and Claudia Black. These are written and talked about in different ways, and you may see them a little bit differently. But basically, there are 4 roles. The hero, also sometimes you'll see it as a golden child, or sometimes a responsible child. The scapegoat, which is kind of its antithesis or opposite, and also the invisible child or the lost child, called either one, and the clown or mascot. So we're going to talk about those. So right off the bat, if you're watching this, you more than likely grew up in an ACOA home or dysfunctional home, where just by the very nature of this, you had it rough to some degree. You had to, because we don't know what normal is, because there's so much unpredictability, so much chaos, often abuse, often neglect. And actually, Dr. Ross Rosenberg was actually talking about just a little while ago. I was watching him. He does a lot with narcissism and other things. He's a very good resource. Anyway, he was saying that the neglect can actually have more long-term damage than the physical abuse. We're not minimizing, for sure, because obviously that's terrible, and that we're not minimizing. However, the neglect and the abandonment stuff really can take its toll for everlasting issues right into adulthood if not worked through. Okay, so the first one, the hero, this is the golden child. This is she or he or they who can do no wrong, basically. And it doesn't have to be true. They don't have to be achieving all over the place. This is just how the parents perceive, which also, if there's a narcissistic parent in there, that really can translate into the child who kind of feeds her narcissism the most. It doesn't say any, it doesn't counter, it doesn't cause any issues. It doesn't have to be that they're this, high achieving person. They can be that, but really, it's all in the perception of the parents. This kid is a shining star. Our family's amazing because this kid's a shining star, and that's it. Sometimes it's seen as a golden child. Doesn't necessarily have to be the oldest, but can be. And the oldest in a family usually takes on responsibility, like leadership roles anyway, even in a healthier family. So that can be part of it. The scapegoat. The scapegoat is basically the black sheep or the family's trash can. And again, this is perception of alcoholic parents or dysfunctional parents, toxic parents, let's say that. So it doesn't have to be like the scapegoat actually did anything wrong. The scapegoat could be cranking along, getting good grades and being in sports or whatever, but the family has sort of designated them as the sort of the cause of the family's issues. It doesn't have to be, it can be rationalized, it doesn't have to be in any way true. Sometimes the scapegoat will go ahead and get in trouble all over the place, and that's obviously a cycle, because the messages that they're getting are that they're the problem child, so that's kind of like chicken egg situation. But it doesn't have to be a kid that gets in trouble. They can just be the designated, kind of villainized, black sheep. That's it. The lost child is also sometimes seen as the invisible child, and they often crank along actually getting really good grades, and are good enough grades, they don't want to draw any attention to themselves, because by staying kind of off the grid of the family, they're not drawing any of that chaos towards themselves. That is their whole thing. And it's interesting because that dynamic also goes right into adulthood. I had way back when I was therapizing, I had a woman, she probably was like 40, ended up having no family there, whatever. But wow, I had to really remember she was sitting there, because her energy just kind of disappeared into the chair. It was amazing. She was incredibly, incredibly codependent with this abusive father, but she would just literally become one with the chair. You almost didn't know she was there. It must have been that she had been, groomed and conditioned all the way up through. And then so they try to disappear, don't even notice they're there. The last one is the clown or the mascot, and their whole way of dealing with the dysfunction and chaos and abuse and everything going on in the family behind the closed doors, that big old pink elephant with the purple spots no one wants to talk about, they deal with it with humor. So, mom throws dad's laundry out the door or something, and, right on the sidewalk for everybody to see. And then the clown cracks a joke, something, and the family goes, ah, it kind of normalizes mom's, nutty behavior, or dad's passed out in his recliner chair or whatever, and somebody cracks a joke and throws a blanket over him, that kind of thing. So this is how it works, when really underneath that comedic kid is fear, tremendous fear, which is why they're kind of diverting away from what's going on in the house with humor. They often are unable to express their emotions because they don't want to do that. They want to just rely on humor to get everybody through it. And obviously underneath all that funny stuff is just, the message that don't talk about any of this, right? That is the whole thing. So basically, those are the roles. They can also overlap. I'm the oldest kid out of two, and I'm definitely responsible. I protected my sister from more than she even knows to this day. It just as but she was definitely the golden child, and I was absolutely the black sheep. So you can have a little bit of overlap sometimes too. So it's just really important if you're just sort of exploring how growing up in a dysfunctional and or addicted household affects you. It's really important to understand and kind of start your archaeological dig to see, because it helps you to get to know, your own traits and where this stuff came from, and to do the work. And remember that these videos are not meant to be in place of professional treatment at all. I will also tell you the ACOA groups are great. I went to one at St. Mike's as a first year, and wow, I can't even tell you what it did for us. Doing the whole family tree. I believe Dr. Davies, Claudia Black's It Will Never Happen to Me workbook, if I remember right. And wow, is it helpful to have, I think we had 8 or 10 of us, maybe even 12, it was a long time ago, I don't remember. We had a bunch sitting all around this table, and it was like crossfire conversation. And I think whenever we seek out support with those, there's something similar going on, whether it's a grief group or whatever group, that ACOA group, I'll remember forever, really, because it was so incredible. It was like springboarded me into this journey of starting to figure all this stuff out, make sense of it so I can let it all go, so I can be, can fill myself up and over the top, to release all the shame and to just be filled up, rejuvenated, joyful, having it all going on, and now I can give to other people. So I would strongly encourage that. So these are not meant to take place of any of that, just informational. Okay, excellent. I wish you the best of luck on your ACOA journey. This is Kimberly Quinn signing off on this beautiful snowy day in northern Vermont. Have a mindful day.